Hi, this is Gretchen from Retreat House. I'm really excited to be here with Elaine Johnson, one of our longtime House of Book authors. And Elaine, welcome. Thanks for making the time to be here. And I'm wondering if you can share with people watching, how did you get connected to Retreat House?
It was really just sort of following a path of who I knew and what they knew about Retreat House. And I heard so many positive things. And then I came by way of Heart Pass, which is a 3-year program with spirituality. And so I've always been interested, always been interested in people's perspectives of God and how I've grown spiritually. And so it seemed like a natural fit. And I got connected via email to all sorts of programs. I liked what I saw. And when I went to visit, it was just so warm and inviting. I liked the fact it had Henry Nouwen's name and all sorts of people that I connected with through their writings. And so I fell in love with the place.
And how did you get connected to the writers group? What drew you into that?
When I was deciding, and actually it was just sort of a place, I was at a place where I had a bit of space in my life that I wanted to fill with something. And I had been writing off and on over the years, starting with my high school days, I guess. And I was very interested and intrigued with the idea of actually being in a writing group, but I never really studied writing. I didn't know that. I didn't have a sense of, I know how to be a writer. And so the idea with Retreat House that people are welcome. You don't really have to have a lot of experience or even talent. You just have to be interested, and the group was welcoming. So I stuck with that group, just was drawn to it from the beginning.
Yeah, I love your story, Songbird. So I'm excited that you're going to read that for us, and I will turn over Zoom dominance to you.
And I titled it Songbird. It's going to be very explanatory why I titled it that. Courage is doing the thing you dread while simultaneously doing the thing you least want, plus the thing you most desire. Is this confusing? Darn right. Personally speaking, dear reader, it is my notion that great acts of courage require 3 things. 1, extraordinary resolve to overcome personal misgivings. 2, stamina to push through any and all obstacles. 3, faith that sees a safe harbor waiting after the rowboat dive over the torrential waterfall. While humans are an inconsistent lot, especially when it comes to courage, we do find examples of courage in all sorts of folk. At first glance, there seems to be no common denominator. Those who appear very brave have their moments of cowardice. Those who appear incompetent buffoons have their moments of bravery. Surely only God himself has the answer as to why people do what they do. Surely when it comes to courage, he is the only common denominator. For is he not one God and Father of all, who is over all, in all, and living through all? If so, is it not reasonable to say that God has been the source of courage within every human endeavor that ever was or will be? Dear reader, you be the judge. I have often heard a person attempting to explain his or her own heroic act. He or she is frequently baffled by the knowing of what they did and why they did it. They commonly blurt out the crudest of explanation. I didn't think, I just reacted. In the midst of their explaining, are they not also wondering, why did I do that? I think of myself as rational and reasonable. How did I suddenly lose all sense of caution? Even to them, their explanations seem inadequate, incongruent with who they are. The truth seems to be that they themselves have not yet processed the idea of how close they were to God in that moment. It may take many years before they resolve their own understanding of the event, even though it might have lasted less than a minute. I doubt that many humans start up in life believing they are courageous. My extreme shyness as a child made me very certain that I would never be among the heroic. I was consistently caught between shrinking into the background or when totally unable to hide myself doing my best to blend in to whatever I thought others expected of me. I was a child wearing the same Christmas angel costume year after year, but I also was a child who recited 1,000 scripture passages within 10 years. I cannot say those verses had much meaning for me at the time. Why did I do it? You may ask. Well, primarily because I was expected to do so. But what kept me engaged was the yearly prize of free summer camp. A chance to breathe, to swim every day, to get 10-cent Eskimo pies, and most important, to experience the extraordinary kindness and acceptance of the camp counselors, teachers, and missionary guests. At age 7, my self-confidence got a bit of a lift when one day the pastor's wife leaned her ear in the direction of each child's mouth to listen for those who could carry a tune. I remember thinking it was a peculiar thing for her to do, but I sang into her ear all the same, doing the best I could, not questioning the reason. After bending to listen to me, she said, "You have a very pretty voice." I felt all puffed up at the time, as if I'd won a prize. I don't know if the pastor's wife, her name was Miss Margaret, had any idea what she'd done for me. I don't know if my mom or grandma told her I was a songbird, or that I walked around our house singing all the time, chirping like a bird nonstop while perched on the red step stool in our kitchen. I do know that I always loved to sing, always liked the sound of my own voice, always felt a bit more lighthearted as I sang myself away from the troubles hovering over our very dysfunctional household. Soon after her discovery of my voice, Miss Margaret invited me to sing a small solo part in Sunday children's music time. It was a bit surprising, but not over the top scary, since I sang my first solo standing with kids I know my whole life. Before long, I was subtly eased by Miss Margaret into singing solos in front of the whole church. While I still had my shyness following me, I also had a new thing following me. I had confidence in the thing that I liked about myself. I could sing. At age 8, I lost several very special friends. My German family of origin had, for the most part, built walls of social isolation. I tell you this, dear reader, simply because those losses were made all the more significant due to the mannerisms of my family, keeping themselves to themselves for the most part, with the exceptions of close relatives and a few people in the German Baptist Church. I cannot begin to express the sadness of that Sunday, plus the seemingly outright cruelty Pastor Friesen, without so much as a heads up, announced his planned departure to the entire congregation. That announcement was a triple whammy. Not only did I lose Miss Margaret, but my heart was broken due to the disruption of my first ever puppy love crush on the Pastor Friesen, nonetheless. Though I did not say it aloud to another living soul, I took his announcement very personally. I truly agonized over his leaving, believing that I must surely have disappointed him in some incomprehensible way. Now, as to the third loss, I had simultaneously been enamored of one of the Reverend's sons. I was a guest in their home a few times and had played tag in their front lawn with Chucky and his two brothers. I thought Chucky was the handsomest boy I'd ever seen. He was 3 years older and had a beautiful singing voice, by the way. As the emotions of childhood morphed into a teenager's perspective, my Dutch courage to sing in front of an audience waxed and waned. But still, I often sang just because I loved the beautiful sounds and the lighting of my spirit. These days, I am blessed with a different sort of courage that comes with my singing. It is the courage of self-acceptance, of choosing joy in the gift of song without need for recognition and approval, knowing the giver of the gift is smiling just as much upon the warble and screech of my 74-year-old vocal cords when I'm hiking in the woods with my husband as when they are enjoyed by the audience at the little church of my youth. I sang no solos after entering nursing school. People were no longer the gauge of my self-worth. My courage and strength in God had taken wings, become independent of who was listening, become more about me listening for his voice. I had discovered that courage is not a thing to conjure up on one's own. Courage is a free gift, originating with trusting God and embracing the gifts he chooses to give, whatever form they take and wherever they show up. For this, I am truly grateful. In my early 30s, I was privileged to sit on the front row of that same tiny country church and hear one more sermon from my beloved Pastor Friesen. He was in his 80s, in the early throes of Alzheimer's, struggling to keep his thoughts connected. I still felt that same sweet childlike affection towards him. My heart was full of love and gratitude that words were insufficient to express my deep gratitude for this man and his dear family. It was a lovely, lovely moment as I shook his hand in that final goodbye. To this day, I love to sing. On the rare occasion that I have a clear voice and the courage to let someone hear me, I know it's coming straight from God's heart. Here are the words of a chorus I have sung again and again. For me, it is a song about true courage, beginning in childlike trust and blossoming into mature love and gratitude for the lovely, lovely gifts he sends to help us on our way. God will make a way is the name of it. God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide, hold me closely to his side. With love and strength for each new day, he will make a way.
I always think like singing is such a great metaphor for finding your voice. And I'm just kind of wondering, given your experiences, what would you say to someone who's afraid to sing, afraid to voice what they're thinking? What is it? Is that little girl that allowed you to do that?
Just do it when it feels right,
Mm.
and walk along with your voice and make friends with that as God gave you the gift and the desire. I believe He gave me the desire and the love of singing. And if it is your passion, He's there to support you to make that gift into something that blesses you, and lots of other people maybe too. So don't
Oh,
hold back.
and what, we're writing our sixth book is House of Courage. What does courage mean to you in your own life?
Okay. It means that when I have a sense of someone greater than myself, a power greater than myself, courage becomes something that is a natural thing, in the sense that the next thing I'm called on to do, it's not really scary. And it's almost like it's not really courage at all. It's just something that comes from inside. So I would think that's what I would say about courage. It comes from inside. And every person has it when they're connected to the source of that gift and that strength.